Onto our worked examples now. So again, I'm just going to put a little reminder at the top just regarding the steps that we have to go through for these types of questions. And it's really good to remember steps because then you have a process to follow. So the first step we have is we write in our equation. So we write in our formula for the shape. The next thing that we do is we might have to find the sides. And then we have to be able to then substitute them in. So I'm just going to write sub in. And then our next step we have to do is solve for our area. And then include our units. And in this case, it's going to be for all of these, whatever the unit is, squared. Okay, so let's go through. And again, remember our formula is area is half times the base times the height. So we need to know what our base is, and we also need to know what our height is. So we need to know what our base is, and we need to know what our height is. Okay, let's go through for this first one. So first one I can see. Let's go through. We've got some values here that we need to keep in mind. We've got our grid is this amount of centimeters. So one grid is 1 centimeter in length on one side. So this is the same as this. So they're both 1 centimeter either side. Okay, looking at my triangle here, I have this as my base. And I also have my perpendicular height, which will be that lovely T-section to that opposite vertex. So that will be my height. So let's label those in here first. So I've got my base and I've got my height. Now I have to see what these numbers actually are. So for these particular numbers, I have to count how many grids. So here I have 1, 2, 3. So this value for my base is going to be 3 centimeters. And now I have to look for my height. So I have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So my value for that is going to be 4 centimeters. Okay, now let's go through and do our process. So starting off by writing in our formula, half times base times height. Now I can substitute these in. And I do them in order. So I've got my area was half multiplied by, 3, sorry. Multiplied by 3, then multiplied by 4. And that then gives me my answer of 6. And I haven't finished because I need to do my units. So centimeters squared. So let's write that one in. Okay, done. On to the next one. So again, I have some information that I need to have a sort out. So this side is the same as this side. So let's put that number in first. So let's just add that to our diagram. Next thing we have to do is figure out which one is our base and which one is our height. So I actually have my base, which for this particular one is going to be here as 2.5 on that side. So my base in green. And let's give it a label for base. And again, following a process. And then I will also have my height, which again, because we've got that lovely T shape and it needs to be perpendicular, which is exactly what we already have. So this one has to be my height in this particular case. And again, the way I know that is because I have that T shape and it goes to the opposite vertex to the base, the opposite point to the base. Okay, now I can actually go and write my equation in. So again, same process. Half times base times height. I then have my values with my base being 2.5 and my height being 2.5, and let's substitute that in. So I've now got equals half multiplied by 2.5 multiplied by 2.5. And the reason I put it in brackets, you can also write it like this. This would also be valid. But when I put into the calculator, I just prefer this particular method because you can actually see and you can substitute in things a lot easier. Again, it doesn't matter as long as we can see your process. So once I put that into the calculator, my area then gives me an answer of 3.125, and I haven't finished because I need to put in my answer. Let's double check. It was meters squared, so we need to make sure that we are in meters squared. So that would be my answer. I can now move on. Okay, next one. Again, same process. I find my base, I find my height, I write my formula, I sub it in, and then I solve with my units. So let's put in our formula first and foremost. So half times base times height. Next thing, let's have a look at our diagram and identify which one is our base and which one is our height. So on here, my base is actually 7 meters. So let's add that to our diagram. And from that, making my lovely T, I have my perpendicular height, which in this case is 2.1 meters. So again, let's highlight that so we can see it. And we now have our base and our height that we can now substitute into. So half multiplied by 7 multiplied by 2.1. Once I put that into the calculator, I get my answer of 7.35, and I'm not done because I need to do my units as well, which would be meters squared. Okay, doing well. Last one. Sometimes the triangles might look a little bit kind of weird and tricky, but you just need to think about, instead of kind of freaking out, have a think about how else you could make that lovely kind of T shape. So how else could you make that T shape so we can make that perpendicular? So first thing I've got here is I actually have my base, which is this number here, which is 16. So it's 16 across this section. So let's write in for our base. Next thing that we have is our height. And again, so it's from the point, so from where you've got your base to that vertex. Instead of this line, we just want to know how tall it has gone up. So from this point to this point, I just want to know how tall it has gone up, which is our height. So let's annotate our diagram to show our height. So we now have our base and we have our height. So let's substitute it in. Here is our equation again, our formula for our area of a triangle. So half times base times height. So I substitute it in. Half times 16 times 19, which I get my answer to be 152, and I need to put in my units, centimeters squared. Now hopping on to the questions. Good luck.